Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Turn for Two.
This is Rob.
And this is Anthony. And this week we have a pretty exciting episode for you. We got a lot of leaks.
Lot of leaks.
Some new tournaments, especially our tournament that just happened this past
Inaugural
week.
tournament.
Inaugural tournament.
Very, very good. We had enough players to have a tournament.
Yeah.
And that is where it starts, and I'm very excited about that.
We had a lot of stuff happen this week.
Yeah, and you made your deck.
Yep, made my deck finally.
We had our
Cooking Time
Challenge completed. So that's very, very good. I'm happy that we got a lot of things to get this going. And we have a really exciting end thing that we've been talking about for a while. That I'm excited.
It's not really a segment. It's a new format.
It's a new way of thinking.
New way, yeah.
So with that, I think we can move right into Stonk Review.
So this week for Stonk Review is probably going to be, it is going to be very short. There isn't much to talk about this week.
Fun fact, it wasn't short the first time we did this.
There isn't really much fluctuation in set 2. The Hercules Enchanted's lowest listing went up by $100, but the last sold listing was $106. So it probably, hopefully, won't stay at that price. I might cry.
We've become the podcast that is, what is the price of Hercules? If you really want to know, just listen to Turn for Two.
Or just listen to me specifically cry about how I sold it when it was just too cheap. Beast Tragic Hero went down $4, which is pretty big for Beast Tragic Hero. Hopefully it trends down a little more so more people can get a hold of the card.
I'd like to see it end at like 35-ish.
Yeah.
I think that would make it, that's still that healthy card you get out of a pack, but a little more approachable to other players.
Dragon and Rapunzel, yeah.
Yep.
That price. And Mufasa's down to 18, which isn't shocking. I think I
should have sold them when I had the chance.
I
said that I was going to.
I would hope it would settle out around 15.
Yeah, I anticipate around 15.
Yeah.
And again, that's, or maybe, I could see that maybe staying around 18.
Maybe.
It's just that popular. If you're playing Amber, there's no reason not to play 4 of this.
And especially we'll talk about it, I think we talked about it last week too, Green Fossa now being a thing. There's more.
It's Lemon Lion,
sorry.
That other card from Lemon Lion, Rapunzel, since now we can talk about set 1, is still at $40. But that being said, Maleficent just past it is down to 30. So those, interestingly, bouncing around. As I said, the first time, 4 Maleficents for $120 still makes playing red difficult, but it is more approachable. Almost all of the Enchanteds are effectively where they were, except for Maui seems to be bouncing around again. So I feel like those are still sells at those prices.
Yeah, I agree.
They should continually be printed. Interestingly, Belle is 26. This is regular Belle. Yeah, you did sell.
I did sell.
I think that it's a really good card, but 26 seems pretty high. I don't know if most people just got rid of theirs early on because Sapphire wasn't as popular, but seems like it's a little high for that. I love that card.
It's a great card.
Yeah, it belongs in nearly every list. I just feel like that's a little high. Hades went up to 20. Carefree Surfer Stitch is 17. I think both of those are still sells because they should be printing more of these. Right. All really great staple cards. But it's funny that Stitch is on this page because when we looked at this page last, it was Elsa.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only other thing I wanted to mention in set 1 was the fact that BLT Mickeys are $7 or almost $8.
Yeah, I mean, inflation. The cost of all produce went up. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, all that stuff went up.
So if you're making a sandwich, it's expensive, but this card is still not even worth a sandwich. $7 for this card. Why? I haven't seen it in anything. Have you ever played against this card?
Other than in Dave's deck, and really that's about it. I really don't see it on the ladder that much.
Right.
I think it's a lot of people trying to get ahead of the curve. I mean, we see it any card game you see it. A new set comes out, cards leak, people go, oh, this card might work well with this card. I'm going to start buying these now. And people,
but you buy them when they're cheap. That doesn't bring the price up to $7.
True, unless you buy the cheaper ones, and then the lowest listing was just the $650 listing that was there.
I suppose it's a weird card. I think it's a really cool card, and I always want it to do something. Something that turns for 4 is very interesting, very powerful,
and very rare as well.
And I just don't see it used. I can understand it with Ramp if you're playing Sapphire. I believe it was in that deck for a while, but it's interesting to me that that's gaining such value. So that is a sell.
Yeah.
Get rid of those while they have that kind of value. So a place you could go to buy some singles to get your stonks is from our first sponsor, Lorcana.
Lorcana has been becoming increasingly popular on X, Twitter, and have a wide variety of singles and getting new stock every day.
Yep.
They've mentioned on Twitter a couple times now that they're getting gaming accessories soon, like dice, deck boxes, playmats.
I'm excited for that.
Their competitive pricing is a really good reason to go to their store. It's normally at or under TCG player value.
Yeah.
But with our promo code Turn4Two, you get 10% off your order, which would get you the cheapest price you could pay on cards delivered to your house.
That's pretty good. So I would head over to storecana.net. That's STORECANA.net and enter our code Turn4Two, TURNFOR, the number 2, to support their store, support us at the podcast, and support your wallet.
And with that, we can go right into meta-analysis. All right, so we have 5 tournaments to talk about this week. So not as many as last week, but still a decent size. There's more tournaments that are decent size of players. Last week there were a bunch of like 15s, and then there was just one 270 player one. Yeah. We got a bunch of ones with about 30-ish players per, which is good to see for the online scene and for the in-person scene.
And there's a good spread of decks in there. Of course, you're going to see your big players and common players, but there seems to be a sort of split happening and differentiation, and it's nice to see.
Yeah.
So let's start with the True King.
Yes.
Which is
True King at EUR Comics Lorcana Top Decks.
In Italy.
In Italy, yes. Great country.
So, we'll just do first through fourth real quick. Let's do them in reverse. So, fourth place was
Hyper Aggro.
Hyper Aggro with Amethyst and Amber. Let's see.
Befuddle, your favorite card.
It's straight to the ground. Every single card that you would expect 4 ofs.
Yeah.
Except for the 2 You Have Forgotten Me and 2 Rapunzel. I guess I don't even know why you would need Rapunzel at all, honestly.
I'm not a huge fan of the Rapunzel. I think it could be used. Nothing in your deck has more than 3 health. I would not run the Rapunzel.
Yeah, you would be lucky to have 2 damage on a snake or a fox.
Yeah,
or, I guess a
goat or yourself. Yeah. I don't see it as something worth it. I mean, even if you have 2 in play and you swing with 1, like, it's just not something I find worth it personally.
I am interested as to why, but You Have Forgotten Me is also a different kind of card to have in aggro, but I would rather just have 4 of those than the Rapunzels, but who am I to say? Interesting, though. It's really straightforward, low to the ground stuff. Let's see. Emerald, Steel, discard.
Which is always one of your favorite decks to play right now.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot of fun. They have the 1 of, which I hate, but they have a mouse armor. A 1 of Cinderella. I just don't. Why? Pick 1 of them and put 2 in. I told you how much I like the Donald Duck. It's your Floodborn, and they're drawing on your turn, so you can still discard those cards. I really feel that the Flynn is more important as because you're playing catch up with this deck.
Right.
You're screwing your opponent's hand, and then you need to catch up to whatever they've gained, especially if they're doing some sort of speedy build.
Right.
So I would try to run at least 1 more of the
Flynn's. Yeah, I also don't like. I mean, I get not running the 2-cost Flynn. I also think is just really good early game forcing them to kill it and discard a card. I get you want to play Bucky turn 2, but being able to play it at some point always feels good, and I don't think it's a bad idea to have them. I do think going for the
turn for you.
Going for the 4 costs first is the priority, but putting those 2 costs in there doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I love the shift for 2, and you can do it on the 1 cost as well. Right. I agree, but if you don't have a Bucky, it's the play to do. So I think it's a perfectly good ad. They do run 4 of the Prince John, which I was not big on for a while. You really only get a few draws off of it. Now, drawing cards is super important, don't get me wrong. I just have been not seeing the value with it as much. It still turns for 2, so you get some out of it, but I wouldn't dedicate a full 4 slots to it personally.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the improvise either. I get it, you draw a card, but going first, you want to do a lot of other things that aren't drawing a card. I get you also get the +1 willpower or
what does that ever matter?
Right.
I'm sure in something. Tinkerbell can hit 5 on something. There is something.
There's
kill
also
a beast with it or whatever.
Whole New World, which I guess you obviously don't want to give your opponents cards, but at the same time, having that option, even if just a 2 of, to be able to force your opponents, discard their hand and draw 7, especially towards the end of the game when you're trying to deck them out. Discard your entire hand, don't draw anything because your deck's empty.
So second place was the Amber Ruby list. Excuse me, I said Amber again.
Amber Amethyst.
Amethyst Ruby.
Everyone's favorite deck.
Ruby Amethyst is how they say it. But I don't want to be them. 2 spell books. I like that there's 2 of them, but why? Why is this one Pinocchio in here? That is so strange to me. Now, it is aggro. If you're running aggro, why not run 4 of the most aggro card in purple?
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it turns for 3. If it doesn't die, you're turning for 6. Or...
Even if it turns for 3, you still got 3 lore for 2.
Right. So I don't, to me, I don't understand that.
And then 4 be prepared. Without the, you have the be prepared, but you don't have to pay off after be prepared. So it's great to just wipe the board, but that's not what you're about. You should be done before you get to 7.
Right.
So that's interesting that they would pick that. And winner was Amber Ruby. Just because it has Mufasa in it doesn't mean it's a Mufasa deck.
Amber Ruby.
And it's not. It only has, no, I guess it has Stitches too.
I feel like I classify it as a Mufasa deck when it plays no other cards that aren't characters. It plays 2 Lantern, but that's the extent of it.
Okay, you're right. So then I would agree, the True King, I would agree that this is actually a Mufasa deck. But how many times has it said Mufasa in it just because it has Mufasa in it?
Or it said 7 dwarves, and there's not 7 dwarves in the deck.
Spoiler alert. So this one runs the Queen of Hearts package again, the 2/2 rush and the 4/3 that you get to draw a card when you're challenging.
I like that card. I think it's good.
I think it's interesting that people are finding slots for it. Hey, check this out. This has been my thing forever. 2 of the 4-cost Namari.
They saw it in your list from the art tournament. Oh wait, this was before our tournament.
Yeah, that card is so good.
They foresaw it.
Card is so good. Kill whatever you want as long as it doesn't have word. Yeah. So I'm glad that this one. This is what I tried to run unsuccessfully. That's really exciting. So that's that tournament there. And now let's get onto Manticore's Tavern. They've been having a good continual series.
They have a great online tournament.
So we'll do the top 3 here. 3rd place Sapphire Steel. Cogsworth and Friends with Cogsworth. I'm iffy on the Tamatoa. I've been trying to use it. You have the money for it at some point, and it gets you, if nothing else, back a popsicle.
Yeah.
Which we always love. A very expensive way to get a popsicle. But you don't normally turn for too much with it. It doesn't really... I would rather have 2 more Tamatoa than nothing to hide.
Right.
Something that costs 8 than something that costs 1. I don't get that carded. But I see it in more and more lists, so I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? You said that too easily.
Cat Killer.
Cinderella.
Cat Killer, Clock, Cinderella, Belle.
They don't have the 2-cost Cinderella.
Yeah, which is always a little weird that you don't want to shift it. I mean, I get it. You want spaces for other things, but you could run two I'd rather have costs and not run Nothing to Hide.
Or Prince Eric is great, but I would rather have the other one to be able to move it. But
also no Hook. I know you like running Captain Hook. I think
I don't run it in this list, but yes, one of my favorite Steel cards. But I would have it in this. Steel Song, second place.
I feel like we haven't seen Steel Song in a little bit.
Look at this.
Ooh, that's interesting. Captain Hook thinking a happy thought.
Yeah. Challenger +3, shift 3. I like that it can't be challenged with cost 3 or less characters. That's a lot of pretty much all the early game.
Also, all of Amber Amethyst is 3 or less.
That's true. That's really cool. I wonder why. It's just another... You get 2 good challenges out of it, maybe?
Yeah.
It's a kill spell. Interesting. I like to see that. A lot of Stitches. 3 Surfers and a 4/4 line of Rockstar. Yeah. And 8 Kitten Faces.
8 Simbas. Not a lot of songs.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not Steel Song, to be fair, but...
4 Whole New World.
3 Be Our Guest. 4 Grab Your Sword.
3 Strength. So...
Oh, okay. So that's 14. That's decent. And you got the aerials to search them out. I like that build. Yeah. It's a little different with the Captain Hook. So it's a little
24% song right there.
Oh.
Didn't realize that.
I like when people are just trying to do other things with the color. I'm surprised there's no Tiana in there. I feel like those have been really popular. And Ruby Amethyst wins it.
The 2 You Can Flies are pretty interesting. I mean, gaining evasive is most likely to be able to kill the Minnie Mouse with other things.
I think that also having the Peter Pan shadow, although there's still only a one of, it gives that thing that you give
Yes.
evasive rush, which is very interesting.
Well, the characters with rush gain evasive.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it's just giving
that
out.
doesn't
So
work
if you
that way
can't
then.
get your,
You're right.
it is weird that it's a one of. We have Breezy's favorite card, Cusco.
Oh yeah, 3 of. I think that's standard. I
Yeah.
just see it all. I play a bunch of them online. They all have the Cusco in it.
He's made it. He's pushed it into the meta.
I mean, to be fair, I've been using it, but
the one of Elsa is also a little weird to me.
one
It's
of
just,
Spellbook.
it's such a good card.
I just don't know one of.
I don't get the one ofs in this game. I really don't.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I'm not gonna beat it up.
Yeah.
So first place though, another Amethyst
shocker.
and Ruby. So then we'll do the Rule Zero win a case. We'll do top 4 quick on this. Just the fourth place was again Cogsworth and Friends, Blue Gray. So we're seeing that this is still getting at quote unquote top tables.
They got your Jafar.
I love the Jafar. I would rather, if you're not running the 4-cost Jafar, which they aren't, I would rather have the Cat Killer just because it's a Cat Killer.
Right.
But that's thematics only.
Yeah.
Does the exact same thing. The 4 nothing to hide. I guess I'm just wrong. I just never know anything. Yes, I would rather have 4 Dreadnought. It's just pay 1 to draw a card. Why not play the what is it? Gather your knowledge or whatever. Twist your brain. What is it?
Develop your brain.
That's the one.
Twist your brain. Develop your knowledge.
I would rather develop my twisted brain than have nothing to hide. I just don't understand that card.
7 dwarves.
Okay, that's right. So we did see this.
Amber Steel 7 dwarves. Let's check out all the 7 dwarves.
I want to do the Amber Steel 7 dwarves deck.
So it's got all the 7 dwarves like Doc, Sleepy, Stitch, Lilo, Piglet, Hercules.
That's all of them.
All 7 dwarves.
Yeah, it has 4 Dog and 4 Sleepy. I don't know that makes it a 7 dwarves
deck. 8 dwarves.
Yeah, that's right. If you had 1 less of them, I would say it does have 7 dwarves in it. But still,
there's also no Snow White, so it's still really weird that they call it 7 dwarves.
Is this a meme? I continually see the one of Piglet, very small animal. It's a
good card. It's a Piglet. He's a very small animal, and he turns for 2. We love that.
I get that, and it's a 2/4, which is a good body at 3. But why 1? Why if I see Piglet in the deck, there's only 1 of them.
Because he turns for 2.
Somebody's doing something to me, and I don't like it.
Where everyone in the Lorcana community is plotting against you and just putting a 1 of Piglet.
We'll never tell him why.
Our next tournament, everyone has to have tough, but everyone has to have a 1 of Piglet.
Not possible.
It could be if they all pick
that would be sad. 1 of Beast Tragic Hero. This has to be a financial decision. That's the only.
It was a financial decision for me until
there cannot be a reason to just don't even bother running any. Then you have 4 Rapunzels. Sell 2 of those and get 2 beasts. And another card that you had to sell to get the beast. But do it.
Get beast.
Anyway.
Sell your deck. Buy a beast.
Sell your deck. Buy a beast. It's a $280 deck. I think I made it more expensive, I suppose. Another Amber Ruby, quote-unquote Mufasa, because it's got Mufasa. Let's see if it's a Mufasa.
Definitely Mufasa. Love the 2 Scar. 4 Goofy's interesting. I get the evasive, though.
I don't mind to be prepared.
I don't either.
It's their only non...
Yeah, there's no lanterns.
Character card at all.
I do like the lanterns over the Be Prepared, personally.
I agree.
I do like the Scar. I like the Goofy. The Goofy deals with the opposers, Minnie Mouses.
Opposers.
It also deals with it turns for 2. A lot of this deck turns for 2 minus Hades and the Queen of Hearts package, and technically the 1.
I feel like it's still kind of an aggro deck, as we were talking before. Yeah. It's just you have things that are annoying to deal with. And I love the Mother Gothel Rapunzel just duo team of drawing a bunch of cards and that they're from the same. Duo. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And first place, Bounce Control.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Ruby. 3 of Cusco. Bad deck.
Another 2 you can fly, and another 1 of Peter Pan Shadow.
That's strange. I wonder if they just...
Is it starting to come into the meta now? Is this new?
The You Can Fly I have not seen around, so... Maybe that's something going on.
Is it something we missed?
I mean, you know what it is the 1/3 Minnie Mouse is oppressive. I bet that's what it's to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, being able to...
You could just send a snake at it.
Or a rabbit, or a fox, or a goat.
A lady.
Or
an old lady with a cat on her lap.
Yeah, with a kitten face.
But this octopus lady does not deal with her, which is interesting. So yeah, I like this is if I was to say I liked Ruby Amethyst, it would be the bounce version versus the super control version.
Well, this one doesn't even have Arthur in it.
Oh, that's true. All right. Well, I retract my statement, but the statement's true, but the list is not. So first place, congratulations there.
Second to last, we have Game Grid's 1K.
So 2 Amber Ruby bounce in the bottom. Let's take a look. I said Amber again. God damn.
Amethyst, yeah.
Amethyst is what
Shocker,
I want to
it's
say.
the same list.
Is it? No.
There's no You Can Fly and no Peter Pan Shadow, but aside from that,
3 Ursula.
One of Elsa's Stupid.
You really? Ooh, that was
really
very
likes
adamant about that.
Yeah.
It's a little more low to the ground, but it's your standard stuff. You're right. I'm not seeing anything that jumps out at me as an interesting change.
Same
Fidgets. Here. I like fidgets to fight everything else.
Kill mouse, kill cats, kill dogs, kill.
Yeah, it has the
goats.
same 3/2 stat line that the 3/2s that I like, but can do the same to evasives. But I suppose if you didn't have the 2 fidgets and you had the 2 You Can Fly, any of these cards can do it.
I mean, all the Mims, Madam Fox, Madam Snake, Merlin Rabbit, Merlin Crab, Merlin Crow, all have 3 butts, so you're killing any of them.
That's true. So you can really, it's just a little missile, bat missile.
Batman.
And first place, Cogsworth and Friends. So we're seeing that
is there Cogsworth
there
in the
seems
deck?
to be a pretty solid matchup between
a lot of decks.
Sapphire Steel and
I think more people
Ruby
are figuring
Amethyst.
out the matchup now. It's like so many people are playing it. And it's why we're starting to see stuff like You Can Fly and Peter Pan Shadow because A, they're teching for their own matchups, and B, they're teching to have other matchups. Like everyone's kind of starting to figure out the matchup, so people have to now figure out how to work around that matchup.
And I feel like that there's been a lot of evolution in that, which is great, even though it's another couple of weeks and it doesn't matter anyway. But I'm glad that there seems to be. Yes, there's the dominant deck. It's still Ruby Amethyst, but there's the things that are contending with it. Yeah. And the one of the decks I keep continuing to see is Sapphire Steel, which is the deck that I've been recently messing around a lot with.
So
this list is the only thing that kind of shocks me with this list is
the Shift Gorilla.
The Shift Gorilla without the regular. Oh, I'm sorry, she is up there. But okay, so then
the Shift Gorilla.
Shift Gorilla, why? Because she turns for 2, I guess.
Maybe.
Otherwise, she's a 4/3. There's no reason that Floodborns matter in this deck.
Yeah.
She loses evasive.
I think it's the turn for 2. People just like our podcast that much. They got to include ways to.
See, if I can't turn for 2, then what am I even bothering hanging out in the Lorcana space for, right? Okay. That makes sense. That's probably why they got first.
Yeah. So then we have the best tournament that's been ran in the past week.
Yes.
The first chapter by turn for 2. It was a 5-player tournament.
Did you?
I did not do that. Josh asked me about that earlier. I did not do that. I could not set the spiciness rating of my deck.
You couldn't set the spiciness rating of your deck?
But it did come out a 98.
So you have a 98% spicy
My deck's that spicy. I mean, we did build it.
Oh, okay.
So we could talk about top 5, I guess, just because we can talk about it quick. So most of this stuff is... We have Amber Amethyst by our social media manager, Josh. Very basic Amber Amethyst list. His favorite card is Befuddle. He did that to you a lot.
Oh, he destroyed me.
I like the 2 of Doc in his deck, which I think is starting to become more and more standard. Other than that, he doesn't have anything in this deck with a bigger butt than 3.
But it is the strict, absolute definition of aggro. Yeah. It's just turn things sideways. There's so few ways to not turn things sideways in this.
And then you turn things sideways and bounce them so people can't kill them anyway.
It's a difficult deck to play. If you do not set up the way you're supposed to, then you're done.
So then we had Rob's Dial M for Murfder.
Dial M for Murfder. I don't need to talk much about this. I've already talked about this before. It's effectively the same list that I had before. The switch I made was I put Snow Whites in, both the 3 of the 2-cost Snow White, because I don't mind healing with it. It's a 2/3 butt. I didn't bother putting the other Snow White because I prefer the Hades that I have in there. But for some reason, it's just filling that slot that I needed it to.
I mean, I think with the 3, a lot of people, including me, would make the argument the Snow White's better because it's shifting for 4 and you're getting it every turn. But you do have to quest with it. But if you have that one in play, you can shift for the same cost as Hades. Yeah. Get to Laura and get it. But the Hades, you do
I need the Hades. I need the Hades when it comes
in.
But it's the
same thing with the Mickey Mouse and the Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, depends on what your deck needs to do.
Yeah, it's a preference.
I like my 3 of Stitch without the one cost Stitch.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's pretty much the same deck that I've been playing before.
And with the Mufasa package, I think not running the 1 cost is fine. Next up, we have Mr. Chip's Lemon Lime Green Fossa deck.
This was actually shockingly similar to yours.
Yeah, it's got.
Or I guess
I don't like the Peter Pan in there. I do not.
We already talked about how the 3/2 Peter Pan evasive is the one we're referring to, and it's he's got 2 piglets. I think it's a good card, but this is the first. At least he put 2 in there not to mess with me.
He ran the Pete, which was something I've had in all of my green decks for a long time. I love Pete. Well, I'll talk about it a little more in my deck.
More importantly,
for Kuzco.
For Kuzco.
Love the Tinkerbell coming back. Tinkerbell most helpful. I get why it's played because you can give a chosen character evasive, which is really big with mini now.
There's a lot of things that need to die to it, but you specifically added evasive cards in there to do it. But
right,
you can still kill things with it. I suppose that's worth it. I like the Mad Hatter. That was the one thing I wished we could put into our list because I don't love that card, but I like having access to it. If that makes sense. But that deck apparently was a lot of fun. I didn't get to play against it, unfortunately.
Next, we had Bjorn Fott's Amber Steel list, which was another actually Mufasa list. So every deck except for you and Josh had Mufasa, was centered on Mufasa.
Well, again, anything with Amber should have Mufasa, in my opinion. It is too good for your value.
This is just straight low to the ground, 4 of everything in the deck.
But this is actually almost this is the only things that are not.
Yeah, Strength of Reach, Fire, and Smash are the only, and that's just like board control.
Which is and on the Tiana package, that's what I think that this is another card that's been getting a lot of more common play. There's not a lot of card drawing here other than Beast. So you can actually get to the point where you don't have those cards in your hand, but you only need to do it against certain decks. Otherwise, she's just a 1/4 that turns for 2 with resist.
And the Tiana's Knight, I mean, the Huntsman's it's a 2 cost that turns for 2.
I've been seeing more of it, and the more I think about it, the more I'm interested in it. Just using that sort of Simba ability or Baby Cinderella ability where you get to just filter your hand is pretty important.
Yeah.
There's no real way to res in this deck, though. So if you don't want to discard things that you need, and you may draw cards, you don't have to do it. So it's a 2 cost that turns for 2, but a 1/1 is so easy to kill. We've proven on multiple occasions. But I've seen it a lot more, and I don't hate it as much as I used to hate it. But it was a cool list. And why don't we tell who won this? Who won our inaugural?
I don't know.
Tournament.
Some guy had a round 1 bye. His round 2 opponent missed the ping and didn't show up, and then he beat his co-host in a actually pretty good best of 3. I don't know who that could be. So on my Green Fossa Lemon Lion deck, we put together 2 hours before the tournament.
Yeah.
It's got both Cheshire Cats, because if you're playing Mufasa, you want the chance at the payoff card. Plus, being able to shift for 5 and tap and banish a character feels really good.
And this deck has a lot of other aggro tools. You don't care if this is kind of stuck in your hand.
Daisy Duck to just kind of target your opponent late game, especially if they're playing a deck that doesn't draw a lot. Being able to turn for 2 and force them to discard a card that could be rather important to them. Genie on the Job, I love. I mean, a lot of this was like, hey, what did I play a lot of in set 1? Genie on the Job, great card. I love being able to bounce a character in someone's hand. They play a character they really need. You bounce it, especially if they shifted it that turn.
It feels good.
Making them to do it again. 3 of Lanterns, the only non-character card. I just think Lantern's really big, especially with the only turn 2 drop being either Snow White, which is only 2 line of, and the Simba.
You also have the Lanterns and the Doc. If you put them together, you can make things cost less.
In an ideal world, you play Queen turn 1, Lantern turn 2, Doc turn 3. You can shift turn 4, get Pete out, and then turn 5, in an ideal world, you're getting Pete out a lot earlier, and same with the Queen. But being able to get 2 Lanterns or a Lantern and a Doc out to be able to get Mufasa out earlier always feels good.
And you can pay the 6 for the Genie. You could even pay the 8 for the Cheshire Cat a little bit later on. So you can literally hard cast all of these things, and almost everything in the deck turns for 2, except for Simbas, which are protecting the Snow Whites, which evolve into the big Snow White. The Queen that evolves into the big Queen. And that's it. Everything else turns for 2 or is a Lantern.
We have a 3 of Cusco, shout out to Breezy, and the 3 of Ray, which are my big cards that turn for 3, other than Pete turns for 4 if you beef them up a little bit.
The only other thing I was thinking about in here that would be interesting, but I don't know if you want to with the sort of Lemon Lion theme is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo to move your 5 costs around for whatever's more useful, but that's not that great of an idea. It's just an interesting idea. I love this deck. We put time into it, but not a lot of time into it. A lot of thought that we've been talking about it for a while, but I'm excited to see how you won your one round, which win you the whole thing. But we were happy to do the first
yes,
tournament.
100%. And so for our next tournament,
we'll talk about what that is.
Yeah, we'll talk about our next tournament at the end of the cast, just like our cooking time segment. But speaking of cooking time, let's get right into
cooking time. So we did finish our cooking time challenge, and this time I won
again.
Yeah, I did it.
Shocker.
I did it again. It was you won the first 2, and then I won the next.
No, it was
5 and a half.
I was gonna say it was 1-1, and then it was 2-2.
Oh, that's right.
And then Rob just went, I don't like being every other game. I'm gonna win 4 in a row.
I figured out what I needed to keep in my hand to go against you that made the difference. Lil Shang was big. So I ended up going with a Ruby Steel list to just shake things up, try to get something different, because I only had $50. My strategy was, at the time, Tinkerbell was $8.20 or $8.40, something like that. I said, all right, I can run 4 Tinkerbells
and build my deck around that.
4 Aladdins, because those were 65-ish cents, and then just build my deck around that. And in order to keep it cheap, I just played a bunch of kill spells that don't have any worth, except for Smash is 30 cents. That was a tough one to keep in there.
That whole $1.20.
It made a difference. At the time of my build, it was $49.87. It is currently $53.44, but still $50 build. Yeah, so the weight set was what I went with. I had a whole bunch of 4 strength characters. I had Gaston, the 2 cost, 3 cost Baloo, and Galactic Hero Lilo. I had the Tinkerbell, Aladdin. So I was drawing a decent number of cards. I don't know that I loved it, but it did draw me some cards while we were playing. Yeah, so it was worth it. Otherwise, it was just ink. Got to bring back Dragonfire. That felt nice. I was running. So my kill package was Dragonfire, Smash, Storm Rage on 4 of each of those.
And you played 3 at one point of the Storm Rage on because you really don't like evasive.
Yes, in one turn, wasn't it? I played 3.
Yes,
that was fun.
No, not one turn, one game.
Oh, it was 2 turns then, because I played 2 in one turn.
2 in one turn.
And then I had the most diabolical scheme because I had plenty of things that I could throw. Gaston, the Jafars, and I think actually just the Gaston. Jafars, but it was plenty. I used it quite successfully. So yeah. It was a lot of fun. I think we had a really pretty even match for the beginning, and I did have 2 games right in a row where you just didn't draw anything. Yep. You were only unankables, and so those games, yes, I won, but it was back and forth for a minute, and then I had kind of tailored my play to it. And the clutch play was giving Aladdin evasive with Lil Shang and killing your turns for 3 Ray. That was yummy. Turn the lore back in my favor. But a lot of really good games. And let's talk about your list. So your list was the kind of like diet Lemon Lion.
Diet, yeah. A lot of it was back to set 1 days where you got the 4 of Lilo's. I ran the 4/4 Queen because the Queen's just that good. It's a staple card. Not according to Rob, but it is a staple card. Simba Protective Cub, Rob's favorite start from set 1. Lilo Simba Bodyguard.
That was literally the first game we played. Your start was those 2 cards, and it just took us back to our very first game of Lorcana together, which was nice. But that's such an annoying combo to deal with. But I had a lot of kill spells. So
the Enchantress, just because it has challenged 3, not challenger, but challenged 3.
Nice.
Cheshire Cat, Hans, Tinkerbell.
Yes.
Most helpful. Again, all stuff I played in set 1. Hearse.
The Hearse.
We
love the Hearse.
A lot of this was literally like, I ran all this in set 1. It's dirt cheap now. Like, let's put it in a deck. Cusco again was in my set 1 deck. Mad Hatter got cut for Pete. And then we had the Ray, and then to top off my curve, I did 4 of Mickey Mouse Friendly Face. The only thing I think I would have changed is I would have put Doc in here as well.
Yeah, it would have accelerated you a little faster.
Mickey Mouse was really good for acceleration.
I really liked the Just in Times in there, though.
Just in Time was great. I had Just in Time, and I had Vicious Betrayal to try to beef up my Pete. It gives him +3, plus he gets the
You
plus
had
2.
a 1 of?
That was an accident, honestly. I didn't intend to have this in there and drew into it one game. I go, why is this in my deck? And it was when we were talking about
we were talking
it,
about making it. We didn't take it
and
out.
I clicked on it. Well, no, you didn't build this deck with me. This is my cooking time deck. I clicked on it to look at it while we were talking, and I just go, huh. And I never took it out of the deck, but I did draw into it
and
2 or 3 games.
I did use it. There's the one-up. You solved the one-up equation.
And I did play 4 of Lantern just because Lantern's a very good acceleration card.
Your deck was scary. If I was not playing strictly kill spells, you just had such aggro with that.
So I think my deck had the same problem my deck had in set 1. Was
you're on Inkables?
No, it wasn't even on Inkables. It just peters out after you run out of cards in your hand. There's nothing you can do.
But it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to do a kind of customized challenge. I think this time we're going to have like stakes. We have to have stakes.
Yeah, we'll start having stakes. We'll start gambling like Rob's house and
sure.
Rob's Pokemon collection. All these things that are
what am I getting from you?
50 cents.
Oh, I don't think
I think that's worth it for your $1,000 Gengar collection.
All right, settle down.
Couple $100,000 house.
Okay. There you go, guys. There's
my Subaru.
I don't want your Subaru. So I was having fun with it, but we're not going to talk about our next cooking time challenge until
the end of the cast
because there's a thing about it. So with that, I think I hear something.
So this week, for spoiler alert, we have a lot of cards that got revealed. We had a couple, I think it was Friday?
Yeah.
It was Friday. There was a just big drop of reveals for cards. So with that, we'll dive right into it. So first we have the 3-cost Inkable Amethyst Sorcerer's Tower Wondrous Workspace location. It is a 2/7. Its ability, Broom Closet. Your character's name, Magic Broom, move here for free. And magical powers, your characters get +1 lore while here. So you don't gain passive lore, but every time you turn, you have an extra pip of lore you get.
So the more I look at this card, the more I like just the idea of a broom deck. So you got to assume that they're making another broom.
Right.
So that's going to open up another color for you to play with.
Right. We already have Steel and Amethyst. So.
Right. So you play the Mickey so that you can play your broom super cheap. Your brooms move there for free, and all of them are turning for at least 2. And if they build a broom this time that turns for 2, that is going to be silly because then it turns for 3 on the Sorcerer's Tower.
Yeah.
So I am really interested to see how locations.
Ooh, I like that name a lot better than locations.
How they work with deck building, like how important are they to have in there? But I think just building around that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Next up, we have 5-cost Inkable Steel Simba Rightful King. He is a 4/6. Triumphant Stance. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, choosing opposing character can't challenge during their next turn. He also turns for 1.
So it has to banish in the challenge. So every once in a while when you get that kill, then something else can't turn.
Yep.
That doesn't impress me. It's a cool card. I love another Simba card. Again, each
More
card we get
face.
is I would kill for just every card to be a kitten face, but it's just not feasible. There's ducks and mice and all these other animals that need to be represented. Speaking of ducks, one of my biggest wishes was for a certain character to get a card, and I had written it down one night in a little wish journal I have been making about cards that I want in this game. And it was Della Duck. And the following morning, Twitter says, hey, Della Duck got a card. So their card is 2-cost uninkable Della Duck, Unstoppable Mom. She's a 3/3 with Reckless. So a 3/3 with Reckless for 2 is pretty solid. It does some work. But they messed up on the name. So they said Della Duck, Unstoppable Mom. Mine was Della Duck, Moon Marooned Mom, because she's been stuck on the moon for at least 2 seasons. I was just so excited that this immediately came back. So then I started writing more cards down, but it hasn't. Well, 3 of them actually did so far, but that's just a matter of time.
Yeah, so half of Twitter was all excited about a Della Duck card, including us. And then the other half of Twitter goes, "Who the hell is Della Duck?"
That
to
was
which you replied to someone explaining who Della Duck was.
Oh yeah.
Because if you've never seen DuckTales, you don't know who Della Duck is, and not a lot of people have seen DuckTales.
It was that I like new DuckTales. It's a lot of fun, but I'm so happy that they gave her a card, and they said it was going to be represented this time around. So I'm really excited about it.
So next up we have 2-cost Inkable Jim Hawkins, Thrill Seeker. He's a 3/2, turns for 1. Nothing super special. He's a Ruby card, Dreamborn Hero.
It says to me that it's just a bad Jafar or Corella.
Yeah.
So just disappointing in that regard.
Morph did officially get revealed. I know we've talked about Morph before.
I love Morph. Morph is one of my favorite cards ever. But the next card that was revealed, I just like the lore of.
Yep.
So this is 4-cost uninkable Prince Eric Expert Helmsman. He's a 2/2 that turns for 2. When he is banished, you may banish chosen character. So the thing that immediately jumps to mind for me is Teeth and Ambitions.
Yep.
You turn for 2. You pay 2 for the Teeth and Ambitions. You kill him to deal 2 something to their thing, and then kill a different thing.
Yeah.
So I think that your Teeth and Ambitions stonks are going to rise.
You could also kill 2 things at once, because it doesn't say it has to be killed in a challenge. It just says when he banished, you banish.
So if you finish something off in a challenge and he gets banished, you banish something else. So this is one of my favorite cards that's been revealed so far. But the thing I really wanted to quickly say, the storm came out of nowhere, forcing Eric to turn back before he reached the mysterious structure at the edge of Lorcana. So this is like a Lorcana lore card, because it's Dreamborn by definition on the card. Is that building this Illuminary that
they've been doing
about.
A lot of that in set 3, but with Into the Inklands, going into the Inklands of Lorcana, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more Lorcana cards.
Yes,
of Disney IP.
Yeah, that's really fun.
There's also on the card art, it has the little ruby symbol on his patch, which I thought was
nice.
Really so they did reveal the Tinkerbell Very Clever Fairy, which is in the box.
The official one.
Official one. So next we have 5-cost Inkable Audrey Ramirez, the Engineer. She's a 2/5, turns for 2 with Ward. Spare parts whenever this character quests, ready one of your items.
So the only thing that this, other than I guess a Fishbone Quill at some point, but I feel like you'd have to have already Cold World
or Mouse Armor.
Mouse Armor is good. The other thing I've been thinking about is the Eye of the Fates.
Yep.
So if you can add 2 to something, that's pretty silly. And if you have a couple of her in play, you could get a couple uses out of it, and you could turn a Bell for 8 or something. It's
turn Bell for 8, because that's what we need to do with Bell.
I'm very interested in what that card can do with the limited cards it can do it with currently. Even just using it on, I guess it doesn't feel great, but using it on
Popsicle.
no, not a Popsicle, the Lantern.
Yeah,
you can get 2 out of it. But there's Super Lantern that was printed that would also be good with. But I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So the next card is a 3-cost Sumerian Talisman. It's an item for Ruby. During your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card.
It's good for 3.
It's fine in Ruby Amethyst, which is constantly banishing stuff, but it's meh to me.
Yeah. Speaking of a more meh card, our first legendary item, 7-cost Uninkable Lucky Dime. Turn it and pay 2. Choose a character of yours and gain lore equal to their lore count. So that's what I was saying with the Mickey Mouse. That might be why people are trying to buy them, because of this card.
Sure.
I don't think this card is great for 7 Uninkable, and I know you have a gripe over the name of the card that you can express quickly.
Lucky Dime?
Yes, because you said it wasn't thematic, because it's Scrooge doesn't have anything on luck. It's supposed to be his first earned dime, I think you said.
No, that wasn't me.
No. Oh, okay. I thought that was you.
But I think that's interesting. The one simple coin changed Scrooge's life forever. So my understanding, now that you said that, and I have read that because I hadn't yet, is that in the opening of both DuckTales, he's chasing a coin.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel in my mind that it's a gold-colored coin, but now I would believe that it's not, that it could be this. But
just lying to you.
I feel like it's like more thematic like that. Like it's the first dime he made before he started making his millions. But it's interesting that it's in this sort of time capsule. But
maybe
I don't hate that card, but I don't feel that the first legendary item should have been so convoluted.
Uninkable.
Yeah, Uninkable makes sense, but speaking of Uninkable, this card I really think is interesting. the 7-cost Milo Thatch from Atlantis. He's the king of Atlantis, which is
Also a
Bloodborne.
legendary card.
Yes, another legendary. 4/4. I hate that we're seeing all the legendaries. It makes me sad. 4/4, turns for 3, has shift 4, which is the only thing that makes this card good in my opinion. If with paying for 7 is iffy on that. When this character is banished, return all opposing characters to their player's hand. So that is
Huge.
Crazy. Now, mind you, similar thing was said about Bell. Now, Bell was only in challenged. This is banished, so eventually he's got to die when he turns for 3 every turn. But I think it's very interesting because there's so many other Milos, including this one that costs 2, Spirited Scholar in Ruby. That's a 2/2, turns for 1. When this character is at a location, he gets 2+. I'm your man. So that depends on what you're doing with the location, but it's a good shift target.
The 2+ power is good. I think with this card, the thing with the Bell that was tough is Bell had to be challenged and then they discarded their hand. With this, it's just once he's banished.
Which he's going to eventually be banished.
There's no way around banishing him, I guess.
Unless you don't mind him turning for 3 every turn.
Right, exactly. So he will at some point force all your characters back into your hand.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more impressive than Bell, but it is more expensive. But it's only a little bit more expensive with a shift target. So and it has a good shift target plus morph.
Right. So next up we have 3-cost Helga Sinclair. She's a 2/4 inkable. Turns for 1 and has Challenger 2. Just a little more expensive card. Basically, if you're challenging, she's a 4/4.
Yeah, I think it's a solid draft card. But other than that, it's just like a 2/4. It's nicely costed. You're going to kill some stuff with it.
Then we have 1-cost inkable Kita, Atlantean. She's a 2/2 and turns for 1, and everyone's been freaking out about the
language on the bottom.
That's
already been processed somewhere. That's online, I'm sure. So it probably just says.
Well, I was just saying they were.
Thank you for playing Lorcana. Now drink your Ovaltine.
I was gonna say, well, people were excited just because they did that as the flavor text for the card, and it's just like.
Yeah, I think that's neat.
Saw that. We have 3-cost uninkable Lyle Tiberius.
Yeah.
Tiberius Rourke, Cunning Mercenary. He's a 2/4. Well, now you know when you play this character, choosing opposing character gains Reckless during their next turn.
Which is the same thing that John Silver does.
No, but this is next turn. So it's not even...
It has to gain Reckless on their next turn or it doesn't matter. That's what John Silver does.
Oh, you're right. Well, you could use it on yourself, though. John Silver, I think, is just give certain character Reckless for the turn. I don't remember.
It says that.
Thanks for volunteering. Whenever one of your other characters is banished, each opponent loses 1 lore.
I think it could be interesting in a weenies deck where you're just sending things out and you don't care if they die.
Yeah.
Because they're just every time they kill, like, oh, do I want to kill that thing and lose another lore?
Right.
You have to play this. This is actually, even though it's a 3-cost card, it's still a late game card because you need to have things to work with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. It's like a build around card.
Yeah.
Another Milo. So there's a 1-cost.
And this one's emerald. So
which is the color of the other card.
Well, the 2-cost one was Ruby.
Was Ruby, yeah, but this one is still emerald. So there's even more shift targets. So it's a 2/2 for 1. Believe me, studying gibberish really can take you places.
So yeah, that one's pretty. I mean, it's a good shift target.
I'm glad that there's these shift targets.
So then, last but not, I think this is it. Let me make sure.
Is that the last one?
This is it. Last but not least, another card that Rob was hoping for.
I actually showed Ant that was the first card I wrote down because I started writing down, what songs do I want represented? My number 1 song, although that one I missed a letter. I put A Friend Like Me, and the card was Friend Like Me. I don't like this card at all. I'm happy that it is a card that's out, and I want to be proven wrong. I feel like there's a way to make this powerful. It's a song, but everything comes into play exerted, so only your opponent benefits from it.
Yeah, so it is a 5-cost uninkable or 5-cost inkable Friend Like Me. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their deck into their ink while face down and exerted. I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't get it. Why? Because yes, you're accelerating yourself, but you're also accelerating your opponent. I feel like the point of acceleration is to go faster than your opponent, not at the same speed and doing the same things. So somebody has to show me what I'm missing about this card. I don't know what it is, but it does not impress me. So for our big chunk segment today. I want to finally fully discuss the format that we've been talking about for a while. I keep hearing about how people want to find that casual experience with Lorcana because it's kind of been, meta decks and tournaments and sort
Ruby Amethyst.
Ruby Amethyst. And just really like this competitive aspect. On the flip side, I want to have that option for something that's not multiplayer, which I really love multiplayer. It's a whole different way to play, and it's not competitive, even though you can technically make a competitive multiplayer deck. It's just a little more fun way to play. What I wanted to do was have a fun way to build. Now, most card games have like a singleton format, like Magic has Commander / EDH if you're an old person like me.
Pokemon has GLC.
Yes. So there's not enough cards for that to be a thing. Eventually that will be a Lorcana thing. But right now, the beautiful thing about this sort of Disney whole world that exists is the individual IPs, individual stories. So I want to come out with a format with that, which is stories format. It's not that complicated. It's just playing the game the way you have been playing it. But when you're deck building, you can use whatever colors you want, which you can only have 4 of course. But you can use only 2 different IPs, stories, books, whatever you want to think of it as. That sort of like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Princess and the Frog. You can only pick 2 of those, and then that's your deck.
Right.
And
Broom's deck.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point. Where do you put certain things? Because you're not going to have like a 3 Caballeros deck, or Caballeros for those people who can say words that you can't.
Where could you go look if you wanted to figure out where all these cards classify?
Oh, nice. Teed me up.
On our link tree, linktr.ee/turn-for-2. That's turn for 2 with the number 2.
Yes.
As is when this episode is live, there will be a spreadsheet that me and Rob, mostly Rob.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, that I got the colors for.
You got the colors for it. You got the colors for it, and you
typed a couple things. I alphabetized it with the cheat, the little shortcut.
Okay, you alphabetized that.
Because Rob's an old person.
I didn't realize it was just Excel, but after that I was off to the races.
But Rob put together a sheet of everything, and then once set 3 comes out within a week, we'll most likely have it.
I'll do it the day it drops.
Yeah,
I will take the time and do it. Every single time a set officially drops, and that's for LGS. I don't care about the big box stores when it stops for drops
for LGS, and LGS. A set list is out.
I
Disney.
Will 100% add it to the list every single time. It's not that complicated, to be honest, but it's just easy to have it in one large spreadsheet. Reach out to me if you have a better way of making this look, and I'd love to collaborate with you. But as of right now, it is easy enough to find. You can just follow it through. I have a lot of fun stats that we're going to talk about with that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's also when we were kind of alluding to the fact we wanted to do our cooking time challenge and all these other things we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So our cooking time challenge for next week is that he and I are both going to make a stories deck and see who wins. So there's a lot of different names that we were thinking about for this. Realms was one. Worlds. I've heard double feature. I've heard lots of different things, but I like stories because it's simple. You can say, oh, did you bring a stories format deck? Or like a stories deck, something like that. I like Ink Tales too, but I think that's not really going to get you there either. So I just stuck with what was easy. So take a look at the list, see what you want to build, and just pick your favorite movie and just go wild. You could just actually sing the songs with it. There's a lot of little variations you can make, but the only rule is just deck building. Everything else plays the exact same.
And that will be our next Limitless tournament as well. Will be a stories format.
Exactly. So 2 weeks from Friday, we're going to do our next tournament, and that is going to be a stories format tournament. I'd love to see you all there. I would love to try and just figure out who's got the best and who's got the what. Just because I did the research doesn't mean that I'm going to make the best deck. I promise you I'm not. That's not necessarily the case. But I counted all of the cards that each of them have, and I put them in rank order of what they are. So I'm going to do this the bottom of the list to get it out of the way, and then I want you to guess for the rest.
Okay.
All right? So
I'm going to pull it up right here.
Oh, you can pull it up there. That's fine. I already have the list here. So in 20th place with 11 cards is Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, you didn't even go for Wreck-It Ralph in last place with 1 card?
Okay, that's that too, but we'll get down there. 21st place, tied for 21st are 3 cards. Lilo, or three stories, excuse me. Lilo and Stitch, which actually has a lot of really good cards for those 10 cards. Mulan, and
Szechuan sauce,
and 101 Dalmatians,
which is
going to go up
set.
significantly in the next set. 24 is DuckTales. So
again, we'll go up.
DuckTales is definitely going to go up. I'll explain what DuckTales exactly means, because there's a world of Mickey Mouse. Because as of right now, I don't want to do a Fantasia one. Like I said, a Caballeros one, fun and fancy free. Like, that's silly. It's Mickey Mouse, it's Minnie Mouse, it's Pluto. As of right now, it's Pete. It depends if they really go into the Goof Troop sort of sect. If that's going to be a thing, then they're going to have to. They're going to have to go off and be their own chapter. And I'll be changing that list as necessary for it, so you can always have a reference for it. The Pinocchio is next in 25th place with 7 cards. Then Robin Hood and Zootopia is 5. And that's to 26 and 27, or tied for 26. There's 4 cards of the Jungle Book, which is 28th.
Yep.
And 30th is Treasure Planet and Wreck-It Ralph, both of which we know are not going. Well, as of right now,
Treasure Planet's going to go up. Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph will not change.
Yeah.
So now I want you to, without, because you can't see them on there, so it doesn't matter. Oh, okay. You can look at the list as long as you don't slide over.
I was going like that.
Well, don't. So what do you think is next? It's going to be tied for 18th place.
Oh, after, okay, wow. And
tell me when you want to hint. Just make a guess. You have the list right there.
Can you cover the ones that are next so I can see the ones we already used? Because my mind's already blanked. What was the one before 18?
Oh, Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. Okay.
I'm gonna give you a hint.
Little Mermaid.
No, my hint is going to be has something to do with our next guest, our first official guest.
Whatever Cusco's from. Wow, Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, so Emperor's New Groove and Sleeping Beauty both have 13.
Yes. Okay.
So that Sleeping Beauty's got all of your Maleficents.
Yep.
So that's most of what's in Sleeping Beauty. The next 2 I will give you. So hints are similar to Sleeping Beauty is my first hint, in just like classic Disney space.
Cinderella?
Yes. And has to do with the ocean.
Moana.
Yeah, so 15 cards for Cinderella and Moana. But on top of all of these great movies that everybody has seen, 15th place with 16 cards?
Peter Pan?
Raya.
Oh,
there's a lot of Raya cards.
And they were all in set 2, I think.
Yes, every single one of them was in set 2. So there's 16 set 2 cards. 12th place is a triple tie for 12th.
Was one of them Peter Pan?
One of them is not Peter Pan. Wow. It is Hercules, Little Mermaid, and
you didn't even
Alice.
Let me guess.
No, but not with this one, because you're once we get to the last ones, I'll let you get. So again, Alice in Wonderland, Hercules, Little Mermaid. So there's 17 different cards. So you think about the different combos you can make with these. Hercules has. I think Hercules is one of the only cards that stories that has a card of every color. That's actually super rare, believe it or not.
I can't look because
that's cheating.
Spoil it. Yeah.
So okay, now I know you wanted to say this for a long time. What do you think is
Peter Pan?
Three-way tie for 9th. Yes.
Peter Pan.
So Peter Pan, Great Mouse Detective got 18 cards last set, because I don't believe there were any Great Mouse Detective cards in the first set. Princess and the Frog.
There's the other man.
So 8th place is up by itself with 19 cards and a lot of healing.
Rapunzel.
Yes, Tangled. Tangled is 8th. So this is where there's a lot of cards that you can pick from to make. You could technically just make a deck with any of these top ones, just put 4 of and make it.
Which is an option. You could just go, it's like the colors. You could pick 2 stories or just one single story if you really are feeling frisky.
Just do like Tangled and
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph just for the one card. So tied for 5th is a 3-way tie. So now what?
Frozen?
Think about what do you think there's just a ton of cards of? Like just a lot of these are playables.
Lilo and Stitch?
We already did Lilo and Stitch.
Shoot. Frozen?
Frozen is one, but not it.
Beauty of the Beast.
Beauty of the Beast.
Yep, Beauty of the Beast.
I'll tell you what they are because you didn't get any of them.
Wait, one more. No, we already said one of them. Aladdin? we say Aladdin already?
We didn't. So it's Snow White, because there was a bunch of Snow White cards this last set. Lion King, which is a crazy story in and of itself. You got your Be Prepared there, just fun fact. Plus Mufasa,
and Simba.
And the Simba.
Protective Cub.
Oh my, all the Simbas. Oh man.
Oh, is this where World of Mickey Mouse is?
Sword in the Stone
Wow.
got a ton. 20 cards.
Because you got Goat, you got Fox, you got Rabbit, you got Dragon, you got Mim and Merlin on their own, plus Sword in the Stone, Arthur's. Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, they went crazy on that one. They also have her song, Gruesome and Grim. Just so many little things. Aladdin and Frozen together make up the tie for third, which leaves which two?
Beauty and the Beast.
And World of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
So in second place with 24 is the World of Mickey Mouse, and way the hell ahead in first place with 36 cards.
That broke the cells. We went to Z.
I had to break. Z. Yes, I had to add more cells because there were so many cards in that set. There's 36 cards in Beauty and the Beast.
Jesus. There's definitely one of every color in Beauty and the Beast.
So you could play Beauty and the Beast if you want to just play Beauty and the Beast. And to be fair, it's a very powerful card set. So I have been messing around with a lot of different things. You get to put combos together that you wouldn't otherwise think of. And I'm not even going to waste our time here because I want you all to think of this on your own. I want you to come up with your own ideas. But I really just want this to be a simple format that anybody can play. Now, this kind of has the opportunity to bring like people who are just Disney fans out to be like, here, I made this deck for you. It is just Rapunzel and Aladdin. Do you like those two movies? Boom.
Here you go.
Or Tangled, excuse me.
And this could be, you said not, but it could be played multiplayer. Just
of course you can play it. All the other rules are the same. You're just only using two different stories.
Yeah.
And the build possibilities they're innumerable. I don't want to go through the little combos here because it's going to get people to build it. Because I've seen some things where having access to multiple colors allows you to do things that you were like, oh, that's why these are all separated by color. But there's a couple of them. There may end up being like a banned or restricted list. If people feel like, oh, this one thing is really oppressive in this one story. I don't want that to get to be the case because just like GLC, sometimes people get competitive with this kind of a thing. And while this is more meant to be kind of fun and exciting to just build with the things that you love. Like it was funny because the Lorcana villain, I was listening to him and he loves The Great Mouse Detective. I've never known anybody that loves The Great Mouse Detective. I like it. It's a great movie, but he's talking about Mrs. Judson's Good Pillows. Like you have to know a lot about that movie to know those little details. We know, what is it? Flounder for Citizens of Lorcana. We know
Cusco
for Breezy. So everybody kind of has that. I'm all about kitten faces. Yep. I want Mufasa and Simba
and
mainly.
You also just love Alice in Wonderland and Frozen, which I'm guessing is going to be your first stories deck.
Yeah, well, of course my first stories deck has to have Frozen in it.
I could tell you if our friends Dave and Jen did them, it would 100% be anything. So Donald Duck. Let's talk about that quick.
That's in DuckTales.
That's in DuckTales.
Yes.
Okay. So you're only.
So I will go through those in just a minute, but yeah. So that's my decision. So it's effectively the format that I want to exist. So it's if there's really disagreements, or again if they come out like again a Goof Troop for instance, there's a bunch of Goof Troop stuff. Then we'd probably separate that from Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey has his own things as well with the brooms. I gave him credit for all the brooms because it's a Mickey thing. You just want to put things into obvious categories of where they are. So Donald Duck, Scrooge McDuck, while they are also part of the world of Mickey Mouse, which technically everything. So like if they make a Clarabelle card, the cow, like the main cow that is like everybody's buddy. If they make a Clarabelle cow, that will go in the world of Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
If they make a Daisy Duck, like another Daisy Duck, it's never gonna be because she's Minnie's friend. That doesn't matter. She's always gonna be in DuckTales because it's just the DuckTales.
Ducks, so it'd be Dave's deck would be DuckTales and Winnie the Pooh.
The problem is when they come out with Darkwing Duck, who is in DuckTales, the new DuckTales. I don't know.
Also in his own series,
right? That is where there's going to start to be that things may get a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
So
it might start off in DuckTales and then have to go to its own thing.
if I end up
Depends
having
on
to make
sizes,
my own, I'll make my own. That's fine. Like Launchpad is one I'm thinking of the most because Launchpad is big in DuckTales and he is big in Darkwing Duck. So which one would he go in? And
Right.
I've been thinking about it, but as of right now, it's just the DuckTales are just all the ducks effectively in a row, I guess you could say. And then all the mice and dogs at this point because Goofy and Pete and all those, like if they make a Mortimer, I'm sure that would eventually be a card.
All right, so big announcement for next week is we're gonna have a special guest. Breezy, as he's known on Twitter, he will be our guest for next week's episode. So we'll still have our normal segments in the beginning, like we always do. But for our big segment for the week, we're gonna be talking with him. We have dream cards.
Yes. Wish cards. Wish
cards. Rob calls them.
So I will just give you a taste, just a little sample, because I have a lot of them, and I'm excited because Breezy and I are going to kind of get some thoughts off of our chest. He's excited about it too, so it's going to be fun.
His is just going to be five more Kuzcos, all in different colors.
He promised they're not going to be all Kuzcos.
Like Exodia. It's going to be Exodia, but for Kuzco.
If you have all five
Kuzcos in your deck, this exclusively works in stories format. All 5 color Kuzcos, you win the game.
Oh, wow.
Or he becomes like a 10-10 with every ability.
Settle down.
This crazy Kuzco monster.
So that being said, I'll give you an example of one of my wish cards. This is an obscure one because I don't want to give some of my better ones. No, stop. So from Zootopia, Mr. Big.
Oh, the tiny little rat guy? The Godfather rat?
Yes. So it's Mr. Big Mafia Mouse. And his ability is going to be Isom, which I don't know what it does. Presumably it puts something into the ink or it does the same thing that Elsa does, but only does one of them. Or does it on Exert or whatever. Either way, that's going to be his ability. So that's an example of a card I want. I want Mr. Big. I want him to be Mafia Mouse because he's a Mafia Mouse, and they love alliteration, and I love alliteration.
They didn't love it enough to say Moon Marooned Mom.
That's tough to say, isn't it? Moon Marooned Mom.
It is better than just Mom or whatever it was.
But it's not just relegated to cards that you haven't come out yet. It can be a card that already exists, like another Cusco, something that you want to just see, or even a card effect that you want to happen that hasn't really happened yet, and we can just add something to it if you want. But it can be items, it can be songs, it can be locations. The world's your oyster. But
it could be I want more Wreck-It Ralph cards.
Exactly.
Or I want Big Hero 6 or WALL-E or Toy Story or Pixar.
So we're going to really dive into that next week. I'm really excited about it. Our Cooking Time Challenge, as we said, will be story format.
Yep, so we'll touch on that. We'll talk about stories format a little bit with Breezy as well.
Yep.
Hopefully he'll be competing in our next tournament on Limitless.
Let's see what the date will be for that, because the last one was just the 26th. It'll be the 9th.
Yes.
So February 9th will be our stories format next Limitless tournament for Turn for Two. And that's it's going to be exciting. It's a new way for people to play. We'll see what people do.
Yeah. But with that, thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to go to Lorcana.net and use our code TURN4TWO at checkout for 10% off of your order to support the podcast and support them. And with that, we will see you guys next week.